That beer you're drinking right now, the one with the crisp, clean taste and the Super Bowl commercials showing mountain streams and wheat fields. Go look at the can. Notice what's missing. No ingredient list, no nutritional information, nothing that tells you what you're actually putting in your body. There's a reason for that. The alcohol industry lobbied for decades to avoid the same labeling requirements that apply to soda, cereal, and every other food product on supermarket shelves. And what they're hiding would shock you. In 1516, Germany enacted the Reinheitsgebot, the world's oldest food safety law still in effect. It declared that beer could only contain 4 ingredients: water, barley, hops, and yeast. That's it. 500 years later, that law is still the global gold standard for beer purity. American beer? Many of the brands you trust contain corn syrup, rice, hop extracts, propylene glycolalginate, caramel coloring, and fining agents made from fish bladders. They changed it. They didn't tell you. And the law doesn't require them to. Here's a test you can do right now. Go grab that beer from your fridge. Look at the can or bottle. Is there an ingredient list? If not, that's your first red flag. The company is hiding behind a lobbying exemption that lets them avoid disclosure. Now check the price. If you paid less than 15 cents per ounce, you're almost certainly drinking corn syrup and rice fillers. Real malted barley costs more than cheap adjuncts. When a 12-pack costs less than a bag of quality coffee beans, the math only works if the ingredients are cheap. The price tells the truth, the label won't. Welcome to The Label Changed, where we catch what brands hope you'll miss. Hit subscribe and the notification bell so you never miss an investigation. Today, we're exposing 10 beer brands quietly compromising on purity, and then I'll reveal 4 brands that prove real beer still exists. Let's start the countdown. Number 10, Natural Light. Starting at number 10, Anheuser-Busch's budget brand delivers exactly what the price suggests: the cheapest possible way to produce something that legally qualifies as beer. Natural Light uses rice and corn-based adjuncts to replace traditional barley malt. When the Food Babe investigation pressured major brewers to disclose ingredients in 2014, Anheuser-Busch revealed that Natural Light contains water, barley malt, cereal grains like rice and corn, yeast, and hops. Those cereal grains are cheap fillers that produce alcohol without the cost of actual malted barley. Here's the economics. American malted barley costs significantly more than corn or rice. By substituting cheaper grains, mass-market brewers can produce more volume at lower cost. The yeast doesn't care where the sugar comes from. It ferments cornstarch the same as barley malt, but the flavor profile is completely different. Traditional beer gets its complexity from malted barley, caramel notes, bread-like sweetness, depth that develops as you drink. Corn and rice contribute almost nothing except fermentable sugar. The result is a thinner, less distinctive product. The Reinheitsgebot would classify this as grain alcohol with beer flavoring. It might get you drunk, but calling it beer is a stretch. Number 9, Pabst Blue Ribbon. PBR cultivated a hipster revival by marketing authenticity and working-class heritage. The irony is that the beer itself contradicts everything the image represents. According to Barnivore's ingredient database, Pabst Blue Ribbon contains a blend of malted barley and special corn syrup, along with hops, filtered water, and cultured yeast. Pabst's own statement describes their corn syrup as containing carbohydrates and simple sugars like dextrose and maltose. When pressed about GMO ingredients, Miller Coors, which now produces PBR under contract, admitted that their corn syrups may be derived from a mixture of corn, conventional, and biotech. That's corporate speak for genetically modified. The working-class beer is brewed with GMO corn syrup. Blue-collar branding, corporate shortcuts. Number 8, Coors Light. The silver bullet markets itself on Rocky Mountain purity. Cold activated cans, frost-brewed taste. The imagery screams clean and natural. The ingredients tell a different story. After the 2014 transparency campaign, Miller Coors posted their ingredients on Facebook: water, barley malt, corn syrup as dextrose, yeast, and hop extract, not whole hops. Hop extract, a chemically processed concentrate that provides bitterness without the complexity of actual hops. The hop extract issue deserves attention. Traditional brewing uses whole hop cones or pellets, which contain hundreds of aromatic compounds that contribute to beer's character. Hop extract is produced by isolating specific bitter acids using chemical solvents. It's efficient for mass production, but it strips away the nuance that distinguishes craft brewing. Miller Coors confirmed in writing that corn syrup is one of the main ingredients used in all our beers. When asked specifically about GMO corn, customer service representatives gave contradictory answers depending on who you asked, sometimes admitting GMO use, sometimes denying it. This inconsistency suggests there's no clear company policy, or worse, that employees are trained to deflect rather than answer honestly. That legendary smoothness comes from having almost no flavor complexity. Corn syrup and hop extracts don't deliver the depth that traditional brewing provides. Number 7. Miller Lite. Miller Lite claims the distinction of being America's first mainstream light beer. What they don't advertise is what makes it light. The ingredients match Coors Light almost exactly. Water, barley malt, corn syrup, yeast, hops, and hop extract. The corn syrup serves as a cheap, fermentable sugar that produces alcohol without contributing flavor or body. That's how you get a beer with only 96 calories, by removing most of what makes beer taste like beer. During the 2019 Super Bowl, Bud Light ran commercials attacking Miller Lite and Coors Light for using corn syrup. Miller Coors sued, claiming the ads were misleading. A federal court issued injunctions against Anheuser-Busch's no corn syrup packaging, but notably, the court didn't dispute that Miller Lite actually contains corn syrup. The corn syrup claim was true. Miller Coors argued that corn syrup doesn't remain in the final product because yeast consumes it during fermentation. That's technically accurate for the sugar itself, but the real question is why they're using cheap corn instead of traditional malted barley in the first place. Number 6. Budweiser. The king of beers built an empire on the claim of quality ingredients. Their commercials feature Clydesdales, American farms, and promises of tradition. The brand identity suggests craft and heritage. When Anheuser-Busch finally disclosed ingredients, they listed water, barley malt, rice, yeast, and hops for both Budweiser and Bud Light. The rice serves the same function as corn syrup in competing brands, a cheap adjunct that lightens flavor and reduces production costs. Here's what brewed with rice actually means. Up to 30% or more of the fermentable material in American mass-market lagers comes from rice or corn rather than malted barley. This isn't a subtle tweak, it's a fundamental reformulation that changes what beer is. In 2007, Greenpeace testing discovered that Anheuser-Busch beer contained traces of an unapproved genetically modified rice strain called Liberty Link. The company acknowledged that their US-grown rice may have micro levels of the GMO protein, but claimed it was substantially removed or destroyed during brewing. An unapproved GMO rice strain appeared in American beer, and Anheuser-Busch's response was that it was probably removed during processing. Probably. The fact that experimental GMO material entered the commercial food supply through beer, no less, raises questions about supply chain oversight at America's largest brewer. Number 5. Corona Extra. Corona perfected beach vacation marketing, clear bottles, lime wedges, sunset imagery. The brand promises Mexican authenticity and relaxation. According to German labeling requirements, which mandate full ingredient disclosure, Corona Extra contains water, malted barley, corn, rice, hops, papain, antioxidant ascorbic acid, and propylene glycol alginate as a stabilizer. That last ingredient catches attention. Propylene glycol alginate is a foam stabilizer derived from seaweed and propylene glycol. While it is chemically different from the propylene glycol used in antifreeze, the compound shares the same base chemical. The FDA classifies it as generally recognized as safe, but it is still an industrial additive that traditional brewers never needed. The foam stabilizer exists because Corona's production process does not naturally produce stable foam. Traditional brewing creates proteins from malted barley that stabilize beer foam naturally. When you substitute corn and rice for barley, you lose those proteins. The solution is to add chemical stabilizers to simulate what traditional brewing creates organically. Corona's clear bottles also create a problem. Light exposure causes a chemical reaction with hop compounds that create skunky off flavors, the same sulfur compounds found in skunk spray. Most breweries use brown glass to block this light. Corona relies on chemical stabilizers and reduced hop content instead of proper packaging. The lime wedge tradition, some believe it started as a way to mask off flavors from light exposure. Number 4. Rolling Rock. Rolling Rock cultivated regional nostalgia, the small-town Pennsylvania brewery with the mysterious 33 on every bottle. In 2006, Anheuser-Busch bought the brand, closed the original Latrobe brewery, and moved production to New Jersey. The ingredients reflect big brewery economics. According to industry sources, Rolling Rock contains water, hops, yeast, some barley, and fermentable starches from both rice and corn. Most of the fermentable sugars come from cheap adjuncts rather than traditional malted barley. The heritage branding promises one thing. The ingredient list delivers another. You are paying for Pennsylvania nostalgia while drinking New Jersey corn beer. Number 3. Busch Light. Busch Light represents the logical endpoint of adjunct brewing. It is Anheuser-Busch's cheapest mainstream offering, and the ingredients reflect that positioning. The brand openly embraces corn in its marketing, running corn can promotions and partnering with agricultural organizations. But transparency about one ingredient does not mean transparency about everything. Busch products use the same rice and corn heavy formulation as other Anheuser-Busch brands, prioritizing cost over quality at every decision point. When your primary selling point is being cheaper than Bud Light, the beer itself tells you everything about ingredient priorities. Number 2. Michelob Ultra. Michelob Ultra targets fitness-conscious consumers with 95 calories and 2.6 carbs per serving. The implication is health and wellness. The reality is a beer stripped down to almost nothing. The ingredients include water, barley malt, rice, and hops, the standard Anheuser-Busch formula. The ultra-low calorie count comes from ultra-low everything else. There's barely enough malt character to call it beer. When German beer is brewed according to the Reinheitsgebot, the calorie count comes from actual ingredients providing actual flavor. Michelob Ultra achieves low calories by removing most of what gives beer substance. Number 1. Newcastle Brown Ale. Taking the number 1 spot, a beer that literally admitted to using artificial coloring to achieve its signature appearance. Newcastle Brown Ale gets its distinctive brown color not from roasted malts, the traditional method, but from caramel coloring. This coloring contains 4-methylamidazole, or 4-MEI, a chemical compound that California added to its list of known carcinogens. The chemical forms when ammonia and sulfites are heated under high pressure during caramel color manufacturing. The same 4-MEI compound appears in Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and other dark sodas, and those companies reduced their usage following California's carcinogen listing. Consumer reports found varying levels of 4-MEI in soft drinks and called for limits on exposure. In 2015, Heineken announced they would remove caramel coloring from Newcastle Brown Ale following consumer pressure led by the Food Babe investigation. A company spokesperson confirmed the change, stating they would use roasted malts instead, the traditional brewing method that achieves brown color through actual ingredients rather than artificial additives. The FDA and European Food Safety Authority had deemed the coloring levels safe, but the optics of carcinogen in your beer proved too damaging. What's telling is that the company knew roasted malts could achieve the same color. They chose chemical shortcuts anyway. The original Newcastle recipe used this artificial coloring since the beer launched in 1927. For nearly 90 years, consumers drank artificially colored beer, thinking the brown came from traditional brewing methods. The label never disclosed it. The company only changed when caught. If a beer needs artificial coloring to look like beer, what does that tell you about what's actually inside? Newcastle Brown Ale represents everything wrong with modern brewing. Cost-cutting, disguised as tradition, artificial ingredients hidden behind heritage marketing. But here's the good news, real beer still exists. These 4 brands prove you can buy authentic beer brewed the way it was meant to be made. Number 4. Samuel Adams Boston Lager. Samuel Adams was the first American beer to pass the German Reinheitsgebot purity test. The company publicly committed to traditional brewing from day one. Boston Lager contains exactly 4 ingredients: water, a 2-row malted barley blend, Hallertau Mittelfrüh and Tettnanger noble hops, and proprietary lager yeast. No adjuncts, no corn syrup, no rice fillers, no hop extracts. The company stated directly, "We do not add any preservatives to our beer, nor do we use any adjuncts like sugar, rice, and corn, which lighten and cheapen it. Our beers are made with all natural, high-quality ingredients." Samuel Adams proves that craft-quality brewing is possible at national scale. The ingredients cost more, the brewing process takes longer, and the flavor complexity reflects that investment. Number 3. Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Sierra Nevada launched the American craft beer revolution in 1980 and never compromised on ingredients. Founder Ken Grossman started brewing in his kitchen and built one of the most respected breweries in the world. The brewery confirmed, "Our beers are brewed with 2-row malted barley, whole cone hops, yeast, and water. We do not brew with caramel colors, adjuncts like rice, corn grits, or corn syrup." Sierra Nevada uses whole cone hops rather than extracts, a more expensive choice that requires more storage space and more careful handling. Whole hops contain the full spectrum of aromatic compounds that hop extracts strip away. The difference shows in the flavor complexity of their pale ale compared to mass-market alternatives. The company maintains their own yeast strains, developed over decades of brewing experience. They grow hops and barley on their own certified organic estate farm in California. The on-site hop fields include Cascade, Citra, and Chinook varieties visible from nearby roads. Their transparency extends to sustainability. Sierra Nevada generates 85% of their energy on-site through solar panels, more solar panels than Google's headquarters. They capture methane from wastewater treatment to fire their brew kettles. The company invested $100 million in their sustainability infrastructure because they believe doing business responsibly matters. When Sierra Nevada says purest ingredients on their label, they've built their entire company around proving it. Number 2. Any German beer brewed under the Reinheitsgebot. The safest beer choice is one brewed under the world's oldest food purity law. The Reinheitsgebot requires that beer contain only water, malted barley or wheat, hops and yeast. No corn, no rice, no artificial colorings, no chemical stabilizers, no hop extracts. German law prohibits these shortcuts. Look for Brewed according to the Reinheitsgebot or Brewed according to the German beer purity law on labels. Brands like Weihenstephaner, Paulaner, Spaten, and Hofbräu have brewed under these standards for centuries. Many German beers cost less than premium American craft brands while delivering guaranteed ingredient purity. When an entire nation banned brewing shortcuts 500 years ago, they understood something American regulators still haven't figured out. Beer quality requires ingredient standards. Number 1. Local craft breweries that publish ingredients. Taking the top spot, local craft breweries across America that prioritize transparency over secrecy. According to the Brewers Association, the United States now has over 9,800 craft breweries, an all-time high. These small and independent brewers produced 23.1 million barrels in 2024 and represent 13.3% of the total beer market by volume. But here's the number that matters. Craft beer accounts for nearly 25% of all beer dollars spent in America. Consumers are voting with their wallets for quality. The craft brewing industry employs nearly 200,000 Americans, people who care about what goes into your glass because their livelihood depends on their reputation. Unlike corporate breweries hiding behind lobbying exemptions, craft brewers compete on quality, not price manipulation. Most craft breweries proudly disclose exactly what goes into their beer. No corn syrup, no rice fillers, no artificial colorings, no chemical stabilizers, no fish bladder fining agents, just water, malt, hops and yeast, the way beer has been made for millennia. The difference in approach is fundamental. Mass market brewers ask, what's the cheapest way to produce something that legally qualifies as beer? Craft brewers ask, what's the best beer we can make with real ingredients? Visit your local taproom. Ask the brewer, what's in your pint? Real brewers love these questions because they're proud of their ingredients. They'll tell you about their hop varieties, their malt suppliers, their yeast strains. Corporate brewers hide behind lobbying exemptions because they have nothing to brag about. So what do you do with this information? First, do the price test. Calculate the cost per ounce of your beer. Under 15 cents per ounce, you're almost certainly drinking corn syrup and rice fillers. Quality craft beer and German imports run 20 to 30 cents per ounce or more. That premium pays for real barley. Second, demand transparency. If a brand won't disclose ingredients, assume they have something to hide. The FDA requires ingredient labels on soda, but not beer. That regulatory gap exists because of lobbying, not safety. Third, learn to spot adjuncts on the rare labels that do disclose. Terms like brewed with select grains or corn brewed signal shortcuts. Real beer lists barley malt, not cereal grains. Fourth, look for the Reinheitsgebot. German beers brewed under purity law standards guarantee what you're getting. That 500-year-old certification means something. Fifth, support craft breweries. Every dollar spent at local taprooms supports small businesses committed to quality. Businesses that compete on ingredients, not advertising budgets. Your money shapes the industry. The product's changed, but you don't have to accept the compromise. Every time you choose transparent brewing over corporate shortcuts, you vote for the beer industry you want to exist. If you learned something today, subscribe to The Label Changed and hit the notification bell. Share this with someone who deserves to know what they're drinking. New investigations drop every week. The Label Changed. Now you know how to read it.